you start sort of acquiring stuff with seller carry and doing it in such a way while your stock is so depressed and everyone's stocks are so depressed that, you know, you do it in such a fashion that you don't dilute, don't dilute as much as you can, but get it done, you know? So it's really tricky. Hopefully we'll get a little bit of a rally in the overall market. And then we'll be able to, how I say it, be able to, clean up some more dispensaries, maybe add some indoor cultivation in California. Pretty much set. I don't see us doing anything in Oregon over the next 6 months. We just have to execute and continue to grow. And we're, despite the market downturn, we seem to be doing better than most in Oregon.
How does Halo plan to get lean with its operations?
So part of it is by Aconda going public by February and them continuing to raise money, we will inevitably fall below 50% there. Our target would be to be at 48 to 49% and maintain that number. And therefore, almost $800,000 a month of overheads just dissipate due to that. So that comes off of our P&L. And then we are also now with Halo Tech spinning out the non-2E assets, and then with just staff reductions that we've made, we definitely see our overheads decreasing, as we stayed, by around 30 to 40% month over month, starting actually this month in December.
Great. Can you go through the Triangle Canna update?
So Triangles, that has been qualified by the SEC. So that actually, unlike Aconda, which will be a larger IPO, that we did what's known as a Reg A+, and people like to call it crowdfunding on steroids. So we're doing a Reg A+ there. We've just put the broker and dealer in place. We've put the platform. A lot of it is online. The platform is in place, and now we're waiting for FINRA approval. FINRA is, the regulatory body for the brokers. Once we get FINRA approval in the next 2 weeks, and it's actually just a broker dealer, we've had it before, then we'll be launching the Triangle offering. And depending on market conditions in California, if you can buy cheaper than you can build, then you may hold off on. But right now, California is glutted with product. Some estimates say more than 15 times what is really required, which is just staggering. And, it's just going to be a question there, but we plan to implement it, because what we also see in California now is, through regulatory action, the government itself is the California state is starting to require CEQAs, or environmental studies, for permanent licenses. And as of January, no more grows approved like Triangle. So that will actually start putting pressure again on the licenses, and we could see at least 50% of the licenses in California this year not cultivate next year.
Wow. That's a very interesting turn of events. I have a question here. Would you be able to speak on the Halo Tech spinoff?
Sure. So the Halo Tech spinoff will occur in, I'd say, January, February of this year. It's going to be a return of it. So Philip was explaining to me how that's going to actually reduce share count I don't really understand how. And then we'll have a different vehicle on the CA. We're already looking to the opportunities in the market. We're looking at different assets to vend into Halo Tech once it's on the SE. One, which is really cool that we're just looking at, is a dog detection technology, where you can get dogs that have noses that are 300 times more sensitive than ours to detect disease and detect mold in plants, which we think is a very, very cool technology. And we're seeing other sorts of technologies around testing and other stuff. And we have a management team for that. We haven't announced that yet, but it'll have its own management team, and it'll be focused on the non-280E businesses, which have been attractive. Everyone's seen that big Dutch valuation. Obviously, Halo Tech is nowhere near that. But at least the 280E area and the European and African area with Wakanda has remained as Oregon, California, and the West Coast. And I was noticing, I saw the red, white, and blue earnings report yesterday too. It seems that little softness all around, and I attribute that to what I call the COVID slump, after we had for a lot of time a COVID pump. Now with the fiscal stimulus ending and everything, people getting out into the world, what we're seeing is less spending on marijuana and more spending on other, recreational activities, because marijuana is primarily recreational in the states we operate in.
Now, we haven't talked, for a while. Obviously, you guys were really busy. And now you guys, when we last talked, you were talking about wanting to qualify for the NASDAQ. Do you have any updates on that? Are you guys closer now than you've ever been? Because I assume you guys must be closer now to the NASDAQ.
I would say that those assets that can list on the NASDAQ, if the NASDAQ accepts them, are closer than ever, right?
Great.
So that's a good way to say it. But you got to remember, there's no safe harbor, and U.S. plant touching is still limited to the OTC, right? And we are on the OTC with that. But there have been NASDAQ listings. Actually, Bestead did Flora, Colombian company that listed on the NASDAQ, and others have. I think there are probably others in the pipeline.
It's been just a bizarre year for cannabis. Like, the whole sector's down all year, from the biggest companies to the smallest companies. I don't think I've ever seen that, where literally the entire sector is down for a whole year. Do you have any reasons why, or do you think this is going to turn? Like, what exactly is the reason for this?
So the reason for it, I think, has to do with risk off, right? So crypto's run up, which is another, let's call it, emerging area. All that battery technology is still running up, and having a general risk off. Yesterday, you had a lot of the Fed chair actually now saying, hinting people he'll be raising interest rates, which is even more of a than we're in, because we're already in a deflationary mode. So the rest of the world is suffering from inflation, right?
Yeah.
And in certain things like our cartridges and our packaging, has gone up. But at the same time, you've seen a marijuana go from $800 to $900 a pound to $300 to $400 a pound, which means that effectively you have to sell twice as much to keep your revenue sequentially in line. And so far, we've been able to pretty much do that.
Wow, good for you guys.
So we're actually market. So as the market shrinks, we're we're pretty much flat, and in California we're have actually been substantially growing as of our last results.
Is there anything that you want to speak to the shareholders? I know there's a lot of shareholders all over the world that are invested in Halo Collective Inc. And you guys are in 3 of the major markets, Canada, United States, and Germany, where you've got listings. Anything you want to talk about to the shareholders that are watching today?
Well, I think that the market itself is very, very bad, and said I think the overall market index is down something like 70 to 80%, which is just
Wow.
staggering. And you have some of the larger companies in our markets, like Glass House and the parent company, that have slid even more voraciously than us, and they're much larger than us. And so, to us, this is, and you've seen my filings on SEDI, SEDI. My personal view is, I'm trying to accumulate stock as and when I can. And, I believe that, this is maybe an opportunity like 2008 where, it's a buying opportunity, right? If you have the capacity to buy, and I'm not saying it for Halo, but I'm just saying that there's a lot of opportunity in the space right now, right? Obviously, I know Halo and I run Halo and I founded Halo. So I definitely have, a lot of my money bet on Halo. But, I think that, we've seen this sort of downturn in Oregon before, and, we're really well adept. We're smaller, we have cash, we have working capital. We know how to weather these storms. And at the same time, we have some nice jewels with Halo Tech and with a that, that really strengthen our balance sheet and give us resources that others don't have.
How's your relationship and how's everything going with your partnership with GEazy?
That's going well. They've just started doing their flower right
Great.
now, and they're launching a store for all guys in the LA area. They're launching a store within a store at Fred Siegel, which is a high-end sort of department store in LA with 2 locations. And so they're actually also working on the non-cannabis stuff. And keep in mind, we have a 25% stake in that. So the non-cannabis stuff, like bags, shirts, clothing, all of that within their lifestyle concept is launching in the next few days. So those of you in the LA area, please come and check it out.
I know you guys always have seems like you guys are constantly bringing out news with new acquisitions, partnerships, products. Do you have any new products or acquisitions you guys are working on? And can you also give us an update on your new share structure? Maybe give us an update on how many shares are issued outstanding now. Because I believe it's quite tight now, isn't it? 33 million?
Yeah, it is. It's quite tight. So it's, I think they're 28 million shares out. Don't quote me. On a fully diluted basis, maybe 29. And
so it's a nice clean float.
It's nice and tight now. And what was the other question you asked, Rich? Is I was thinking you'd ask something else too.
Yeah, I was just asking if there's anything else that you guys are working on, any other new projects or acquisitions that you guys are focused on.
Remember we said we were going to launch our hush rooms, which are fentanyl mushrooms. We're looking at more mainstream distribution, working with Elegance, who we have a stake in, where we did that share swap, to distribute inks and different supplement products that we would subcontract manufacture into mainstream distribution. So we're looking at some CBD stuff and some other stuff to augment our revenue. And, while we weather the storm in California and Oregon, look for incremental growth in these areas. And I see a lot of the MSOs doing the same thing. But we think, with our relationship with Elegance, their, sponsorship of the Phoenix Suns and their sponsorship of Miss USA and their distribution of Sway, that they, that we have a shot at doing some of that. So we're going to take, I have some hushroom samples literally here in LA, and we're going to have a go at mainstream distribution.
Wow, that sounds exciting. Now, I know you're really busy, and we talked about the fact that you have to be gone by 11:30. It's 11:24. So is there anything that you want to touch base with or talk to investors about before we say goodbye?
Right. Well, I see a question here on the LA dispensaries. So Westwood has finished construction, which is awesome.
Great.
Now what we have to do is wrestle with the department. Oh, here it's called forgot what it's called in LA. I think it's the DCC, Department of Cannabis Control, or DCR, I think it's called, Department of Cannabis Regulation. So we have to get them now to permit it, not permit it, but allow us to open. Franklin, now we've rolled the construction crews over to Franklin, which is Hollywood. So that's under construction now. For those of you, again, in the LA area, if you drive down Santa Monica Boulevard towards the flats of Beverly Hills or Century City, we're right after the Mormon church, and we have two big billboards next to one of the busiest McDonald's in the city. So so the Westwood one is coming along really fast. We hired John Ford from Chalice, who's leading this effort for us. So we have someone who's seasoned, who ran Apple stores and Microsoft stores in China, who's run dispensaries. We have Ryan, our chairman, who built a very large portfolio of dispensaries in California and has a large portfolio in Washington. And so I think Westwood should be up this year, hopefully, early next year. And Lancashire actually is permitted right now. So Lancashire may be a big size, and we may be actually selling products there. We've gotten a approval to operate, so I think we may be stuck there within 2 weeks.
Oh, great!
So the dispensary and they actually add revenue. Again, substantial revenue, because wholesale revenue is, for every wholesaler, a retail dollar is $2. But the market seems to value retail dollars, wholesale dollars. So when I quote that we do, let's say, 4 million of sales of cannabis products to dispensaries, at the retail level, that's 8 million. Right. So getting into retail should definitely help our P&L. It'll take some time to ramp up. And now we're looking for other opportunities, again, in the LA area where we can cluster stores. So we've been looking at a lot of other opportunities, but our sort of view is wait till Q1. We think get a little worse before get a little better for people. So let's not jump too much into it. Let's focus more on some of the mainstreams in the interim, which hasn't been hit with a substantial downturn like cannabis has.
If there was one thing you could leave investors with today before we say goodbye, what would it be?
I mean, I would say that right now, valuations in cannabis don't reflect the growth opportunities within cannabis. And you got to pick those companies that have strong balance sheets and that have a focused strategy, you know, that will execute. I think the jury's out on a lot of the MSOs and what they've done, and whether you can right now in this environment operate effectively across states. We're really going deep in California and in Oregon. We're not looking at other states. We're looking at just staying static in Canada, where we're at now until things change. We've spun out our non-280 assets. Seems like it's going to hopefully be a, you know, big winner. Europe is very much hot. Germany has announced federal legalization recreationally.
Wow. Wow.
So yeah, so I'm, you know, I think, you know, I think we have a rationalized business, and we have upside in our stock. We have UK upside, we have African upside. The non-280E assets, what, you know, it's before the record date. We should add substantial value, you know, or should add, you know, good value to the stock as well. So I think, you know, we have a focused strategy, yet there's a lot of, put it in our stock, a lot of sort of optionality, or a lot of opportunity, not optionality, in other areas as well, which makes it a unique proposition.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, the CEO of Halo Collective Inc., KIRAN Sidhου. And I must remind everyone that Rich TV Live is strictly for information and education purposes. Please do your due diligence, do your research before you invest in anything we talk about or discuss here on Rich TV Live. KIRAN, thank you for joining us again. And if you ever have any other big breaking news or anything you want to talk about, we'd love to invite you back on the show so we can discuss.
Thanks, Rich. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thank you for joining us, and thank you guys for watching. If you guys like these videos, smash the like button, comment down below, share the video everywhere, and subscribe. If you're not winning, you're probably not watching. Thank you for watching, everybody. Thank you, KIRAN. Have a nice day. Keep up the great work, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a great day, everybody.